Oh, sorry, I'm running a little late this morning. Do you have any students? It should be fine. I'm on now. I was just sort of concerned that there was a different link, but she changed it in our campus. So, yeah. Okay. I'll just assume this is the new job form link on our can. Right. We're gonna do 10 steps, and then the other thing that was, an older earlier. All that up. Yeah, that's just. I didn't fix the link for this one, but I could actually do that. That was such a good tip. Yeah, it's reading skills packet too. They may have copies. Okay, thanks. All right, I know you've got other things to do this week. Okay. Okay, sounds good. All right. There you go.
Thank you. Yeah, no problem.
Where everybody go? Okay. That was, what's that, social? Math and science. How was the science? Yeah, it's close reading. Cool. To go back into our 10 steps. And we're going to look today at summarizing. A really important skill that comes easier to some people than others, but you'll always see it on the GED and other places, and it's a useful skill for everyday life too. So, like, if I was going to say, I love vegetarian food, and then I aspire to be a vegetarian. I used to be a vegetarian. All the reasons why I think it's so great, like cows eat too much food and we're farming too much to make their food, and they try not to eat meat and vegetables are so good. There's so many colors, they're so pretty. There's so many different ways to make them. There's squash, there's tomatoes, there's eggplants, there's herbs, you know, so many good veggie wedgies. And then, you know, I could say a lot of people are lactose intolerant. Well, that's vegan. Let me strike that. You know, vegetarians often don't have quite the weight gain sometimes because they're not eating so much like heavy meat, and the food's much easier to digest. So I just gave a whole bunch of reasons why I like vegetarian cuisine. But some would be like, okay, that's cool, I get the idea, but like that's a lot of information. Can you summarize? Okay, so that's the skill we're looking at today. And it's hard because you're taking something big and you're putting it down to something small. Okay, you're taking a lot of information and then you're trying to like compress it into a general statement about it. So I would have to say something like, I love vegetarian food because it's has a lot of variety. It's light on the digestion and it's easy on our planet. And if you don't know how that works, I could explain that later why I'm not trying to make a pitch against beef. I think if it's responsibly raised, it's good food for sure. And some people need that straight up muscle protein. But for the purposes of my argument, I would say, yeah, I love vegetarian food because it's light on the digestion. It's so versatile and it's easy on the planet. So then all those details that I was talking about, different colors, shapes of vegetables, the way, you know, beef is taking up too much land and too many resources, etc., all got kind of squished into one sentence. Okay, so that's the skill. And we're going to look at two different handouts today. And then I'm going to ask you guys to do what I just did with another topic written out. And like that. So let's look at our 10 steps. Thanks to Mrs. Hanson, I redid the link, so this should be easier to get into. So everyone can open 10 steps, or I'm going to share it. And we are working on the chapter with supporting details, which is what I just said, like all the different colors, vegetables are, you know, red, green, yellow, even black for eggplant. You know, all the different details are the supporting details for a main idea. Okay. So let's go down. We've done a lot of this. And if you haven't, I highly recommend you get in to your own computer at home and catch up with all this. I think most of you have been here for this. All right. The outlining. We did how you tell, you're going to list a bunch of different ideas. List words. Addition words when you're saying, you know, first supporting detail. First, I love vegetables because there's so much variety. Blah, 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 blah. Second, I love vegetables because they're easy on the digestion. Blah, 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 right? So we use these joining words. And they're talking about summarizing. Summarizing is a school skill, but it's also a life skill. So it's pretty good stuff. Because sometimes you just don't have that much time to get in and explain something in a lot of detail, and people like cut to the chase, you know, give me the short version, right? It's kind of like taking a lot of information and boiling it down to just a little bit. So here was our outline. And we practiced. Have we done this one? Yes, these are 19th century, the difference in schools. Oh, memory. I love this one because it says, what is the problem with people being able to remember stuff. One is the desire, lack of practice, self-doubt, and then distraction. Love that one. Those are the 4 major details in that one. Here is how to like be sociable when you first meet people that you don't know. Although I know some people don't like to be looked like directly in the eye that much. That's not like their thing. You know, some people like that. They like that intense contact, like, and some people don't. You know, they don't like that stare for very long. Okay, what was this one? It was introduce yourself, ask a question. You could make a comment or compliment, and then you get information from them, like blah blah blah. What about, where'd you grow up? So there's the mental mapping. I like the mental mapping personally. I know a lot of people in here like outlines. Industrial farming. Talked about that. Here's our summarizing. Who'd like to read the first paragraph, Kat? Perhaps, or perhaps not today. Sure. From page 114.
A summary is a reduction of a large amount of information to its most important point. Length of time summary depends on the material question. Often, a summary consists of an idea and stage. Problems like summarizing stories and their studying of on textbook material, very often we will find it helpful to summarize their opinion.
Okay, thanks. So we're talking about summaries where you have a lot of information, but maybe you don't have time, or the person just doesn't want to hear all the bloody details, as it were. So you're just smashing it down to something really short, just hitting the highlights. Right, so here's one. We talked about stress. Big topic nowadays. Raven, you want to read this? Please. We're on page 118. In 10 steps. Raven there? See if it turns.
Yeah. Is it where it says in?
We're reading in some
Yeah.
circumstances.
Can you hear me? But can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. In some circumstances, the most effective way of coping with stress is withdrawal, avoiding the situation. A person of an amusement park who is overcome by anxiety when just looking at a roller
Slow down a
coaster
little
can
bit.
walk on.
Slow down a little bit. Thanks. We can't read that fast.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Start over.
Okay. In some circumstances, the most effective way of coping with stress is withdrawal, avoiding the situation. A person at an amusement park who is overcome by anxiety when just looking at a roller coaster can walk on to a less threatening ride or even leave the park entirely. A woman whose promotion depends on temporarily relocating might simply quit her job and join another company, or she might withdraw emotionally from the stressful situation by deciding that promotion no longer matters to her, and that she has already advanced in her career as far as she wants to go.
Thank you. All right, so we're talking about stress. They don't make it super clear why the woman's stressed out, but I guess she's in the second example, I guess she's stressed out by like trying to earn a promotion and like look really good and get her reports in on time and all that kind of stuff. Sounds like that's stressing her out. And then the amusement park, I can see that, whatever. I used to go on the one in Coney Island. I don't know why it scared the Jesus out of me, but it's fun at first. But it's so old and like wooden and rickety. Yeah, it's fun. So what did they say for a summary, Raven? Be that short summary. Lost her. I'll read
Sorry.
it. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
What was the question?
Summary, since you read the paragraph. Thank you. The next little bit after the paragraph you read.
Hello?
Hi, can you read the summary? That's right after the paragraph you read.
The withdrawal, coping with stress by avoiding the situation.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Withdrawal, coping with stress by avoiding the situation by being near a roller coaster can walk elsewhere.
Thank you. That's
I
good.
read where it says
That's great.
no.
That's it. Thank you. Just that little summary. That's okay.
Okay.
Sometimes. So we had this, this thing about we had the details, can walk to a less threatening ride or leave the park. How did that get summarized? Avoiding the situation, which they say in the beginning. And then the examples are all kind of reduced down. It's like cooking a sauce, right? You're trying to get it down to its essence. For example, a person made anxious by being near a roller coaster can walk elsewhere. So they don't put all the examples, but they do give you a flavor of what withdrawal looks like. Note the textbook definition of a key term such as withdrawal should generally not be summarized, but should be worded in the language chosen by the author. On the other hand, it usually makes sense to summarize the supporting information. Who wants to read this? Jason?
Reading?
Under summary, number 1 and 2. Select.
Select one example from several that might be given. Which example you select is up to you, as long as it makes the term clear for you. In the summary above, the example about the roller coaster has been chosen to illustrate withdrawal. Condense the example if it's not already brief. Notice that the example about the roller coaster has been condensed from a very long sentence to a short one.
Okay. Good, thank you. So we're just trying to take a big thing and boil it down to its basics, its essence. That's all this is, right? Big to little. Lots of detail to very few details. So they're suggesting in this one, you leave the definition, withdrawal, which is what? Withdrawal, what's the definition?
People stress by avoiding the situation.
Yeah. So part of what we're doing here in this book is learning how to jump around on the page when we need to find information, scanning. So that's part of it. You got to let your eyes like be loose and free. So you're like, I don't remember what withdrawal means particularly. There's different definitions of withdrawal. But I will jump up with my eyes to see what it is and then read it real fast. So that's part of what you're doing when you're working with this stuff is you're jumping around. So you're right. because we want that point. Cha-ching. Okay, so withdraw. They gave the definition and then they give a very brief example. Where they said condensed. Blah, blah, blah. This is also about a textbook chapter. This is college stuff. Very often you can get what you need by doing two things. Writing down the definitions in the chapter, along with summarized examples of the definitions. Always good. Writing down the list of major supporting details and any minor details that you think are important, or I want to add, or you think you'll forget, but you want to remember because you particularly appeals to you, or you think you'll use it in your paper, for instance. If you had to write a paper about this, I'm going to remember that detail because that's something I would like to talk about. All right, summarizing a passage. Read the selection below, taken from an introductory textbook for a college social science course. As is often the case in such introductory texts, new term is presented, then followed by an extended example. Complete the study notes by circling the letter of the answer choice that best summarizes the example. Does that say complete the study notes? Circling the letter of the answer choice. Okay. Who wants to read? Somebody we haven't heard from for a while? Samuel? Sam? I mean, not Samuel. Anybody?
I'll read.
All right.
The RPGs have become part of modern life because they are a powerful form of social org.
Okay, I'm going to stop you right there. So I'm reading. That first sentence is going to be super important. So I don't want to space it. So what is this? Bureaucracies, part of modern life, powerful form of social education. Okay, thanks. Go ahead.
Once in existence, however, they tend to take on a life of their own. In a process called goal displacement, an organization continues even after it achieves its goal and no longer has a reason to go on. A classic example is the National Foundation of the Martian Giant, organized in the 1930s to fight polio. At the time, the origin of polio was a mystery. Parents lived in fear because no one knew whose child might be stricken next with this crippling disease. To raise money, place posters of the children on crutches near cash registers in almost every store in the United States. Took public campaign to heart and contributed heavily. The organization raised money beyond its wildest dreams during the 1950s. During the 1950s, Dr. Jonas Salk developed a vaccine to polio. In this threat was wiped out almost overnight. The second one.
Yeah.
Okay. What then? Did the organization fold? After all, its purpose had been fulfilled. But of course, the March of Dimes is still around. Faced with the loss of their jobs, the professional staff that ran the organization quickly found keeping bureaucracy intact by destroying the enemy, birth defects.
A new enemy. Yeah.
Their choice of enemy is striking, for it's doubtful that we will ever run out of birth defects, and thus that these people will never run out of jobs.
A lot of things are about people keeping their jobs, right? Like, I think high tech, I don't know. That's my personal theory that all these apps are made because somebody doesn't want to lose their job, right? So we have to constantly adapt to new apps, but that's your old lady speaking right there. Good. Interesting. So bureaucracies are part of modern life. Does everyone have a feeling for what bureaucracies are? They're just like structures, like of a nonprofit or Cochise. I mean, Coconino Community College has a bureaucracy. This person works, and then this person works under them, and then that person works under them, and that person has to tell them what they're doing, and this person has to report to that person. And usually they kind of have a hierarchy, a level. Who wants to look up archices? Can you somebody look up the word parts for bureaucracy, bureau, and archices, because it's also like hierarchical, which just means things are on their own levels, like ladder. Goal displacement, never heard of that. Okay, the study notes, goal displacement. An organization finds a way to continue even after it achieves its goal and has no longer has a reason to go on. So they wrote the example. I mean, they wrote the definition, sorry, of goal displacement down there, and they took notes. Classic examples, National Foundation March of Dimes, 1930s by polio. It's amazing how the polio is almost gone. It's just amazing, actually. March of Dimes, wiping out polio, found a way to continue taking on a new enemy, birth defects. March of Dimes raised money to discover a cause and a cure for polio. Yeah, people would have to put like, I remember when I was really little, they always like, you gotta put the toilet paper on the bathroom toilet seat in public spaces. Like, it was very kind of awkward. And then because your mom, whoever, did not want you to get polio, so you put the toilet paper around the seat. Anyway. And they found the vaccine. So great. Study notes should clearly show how an example illustrates a new term. In case of the paragraph above, the note should include a key point that an organization finds a way to continue after reaching its goal. Did anybody find out what the root ocracy means? Sometimes you can see it in the dictionary definition where it'll like give you the origin of the word, where it came from.
Zero ocracy. Or like, use different word.
Yeah, what's ocracy?
But, that. Is,
In government, right?
Yeah,
It
that's
has, when I looked at bureaucracy,
bureaus and government.
a system of government in which most of the important decisions are made by state officials rather than elected representatives. So bureau, I'm assuming is government, but
I don't think it's always government, the Bureau of Land Management, for instance, yeah, it's a huge agency or bureau.
yeah, you're only.
Huh?
Yeah.
Oh, literally desk.
Zero, and then Brady, or like the second part of bureaucracy, what kind of government?
Definitely has to do with people in offices.
in desks.
That's good. Bureau, I thought bureau was where you put your clothes, but whatever. Where's a good dictionary? In here.
There's a Cambridge.
Oh, that's
I don't
a good
know what
one.
the difference is.
Good. Okay, so far we have bureau and then we have type of government. Ocracy, right?
Brady,
What?
Brady.
Okay. Ba-ba-ba. So they want you to choose which is the best example. And they say, C. That's really like the best. Wait, let me look. Oh, no, that's not the best. What are we trying to do? We're trying to find how an organization finds a way to continue. I'm sorry. So the best would be what? Change their mission to birth defects. All right, let's try this one. So I'll have you guys read by yourselves this one about how people deceive themselves. And wait, what did it say about bureaucracy? Bureaucracy, the whole word. It sounds sort of like European or something.
Like, are you in the new?
Zero.
Don't find jobs. Person. How is this person made of from the shots?
You can kind of sync up once in a while with those kind of people.
Yeah.
We all-
Yeah.
Yeah, just be up.
That's very popular. Right next to her international. We got fired because she complained to the president about having styrofoam cups in the coffee.
Yeah, just go to the course.
It's like her whole.
What's your name?
And they had two security guards on them. Change. Attempt did not talk to the president, the CEO. Body of government, that's a good one for bureaucracy.
Organization,
What?
system of managing or
System of managing an organization, that's good, I like that one. All right, so go ahead and read this passage and choose which one is best. This summarizes the example of the term being defined. Go down. 10 steps. Out, in the middle. Yeah, read it and then choose the best example for the definition.
Thank you.
They do. Are we done? Okay. So I tend to sometimes read too fast. I think I told you guys that. Because I'm just dying for the information. I just want to see what's, especially in novels, I want to see what's going to happen next. But this is, people deceive themselves in various ways to cope better. So this is a positive view on denial, or you could say deception. It's a positive view. We usually think of denial. I often think of denial as kind of negative, like you're denying your responsibility and your what happened that night. You know what I mean? Like denial can be like pretty negative. It's not real, like it's avoiding the truth. But in this case, they say it is a positive for people with it's unconscious refusal to recognize a painful or threatening reality, which actually is sort of a positive thing when they can't really cope with the truth, I guess. So denial, the unconscious refusal to recognize a painful or threatening reality. Which is better as the example of the how to define that term, the main idea. Being near death from extreme burns, depressed and frightened a woman. Okay, maybe that's one of the things they talked about. According to all the medical conditions, the woman who suffered from severe burns with near death, does that have anything to do with denial? No. That's just her condition, right? And then C, by refusing to believe her burn injuries were deadly, a woman near death was able to stay calm and cheerful. Which is the best one to describe the denial, the unconscious refusal to recognize a painful, threatening reality? Does it talk about denial in there? B? B is more about her condition. Which one is talking about the denial?
They said despite, not despite. you said.
Despite works as what we're talking about. Like you know your body's covered with burns, despite the fact your body's covered with burns. You think you're going to recover in like 3 days and go home and take care of your kids.
Yeah, that's it. That was a,
Yeah.
although it's not choice, that's true.
Yeah. So which one is talking about? Let's look for a synonym here. The woman who suffered by refusing. That's a synonym of what? Refusal, to recognize. So you see those two words are very close, refusal and refusing. That's a quick way to get connected to the right answer. They're repeating it, but they're using slightly different words. So C is by refusing to believe her burn injuries were deadly, a woman near death was able to stay calm and cheerful. That's a good example of the unconscious refusal to recognize a painful or threatening reality. Make sense? How many people thought it was C? Okay. Anyone confused? So you see these two things. Here's the term we're trying to define. Denial. And then you see the same word here, refusal to recognize the painful, threatening reality. Here's an example. This lady refused to believe her burn injuries were deadly. And so it was a positive thing. She was able to stay calm and cheerful. Oh, burns, terrible. And let's try another one. Go ahead and read that one. We'll look at the best answer. This one's organized a bit differently, right? Starts out with the details. All right, you got it? Okay. This is organized a little bit differently, has the details first. Rob, can you read that?
Yeah, B,
Yeah,
B. Imagine a ball lying on a level table. Left alone, the ball stays where it is. Given a gentle push, the ball rolls a short way and then comes to a stop. Smoother the ball and the tabletop, farther the ball rolls before stopping. Suppose that we have a perfectly round ball and a perfectly smooth level tabletop, and that no air is present to slow down the ball. If the table is infinitely long and we give the ball a push, will it ever stop rolling? In fact, we can reasonably expect that under ideal conditions, the ball will keep rolling forever. This conclusion was first reached by Galileo and soon stated by Newton as the first law of motion. An object will continue in its state of rest or motion in a straight line at a constant speed if the object does not interact with anything else.
all right, thank you. So you see how Rob uses his he uses expression in his voice when he's reading? That's a good thing to do even silently because it keeps you interested instead of being imagine a ball lying on a table, left alone, the boat, ball stays where it is, given a gentle push, the ball rolls ashore and then it comes to a stop, the smoother. Instead, like imagine a ball lying on a level table. Left alone, the ball stays where it is. Given a gentle push, the ball rolls a short way and then comes to a stop. The smoother the ball and the tabletop. So use the expression when you're reading. Excellent. Okay, good. We have some good readers in here.
Been reading the book, gave me, so it's been a nightly thing.
Sherman
The Sherman Alexie.
Alexie book, you
Yeah.
like it?
Yeah.
I like that book. Oof. Anyway, good. I like that book. So what's the main idea down here? If they call it the conclusion here, which is usually a restatement of the main idea. First reached by Galileo, blah, blah, blah. Here it is. An object will continue in its state of rest or of motion in a straight line, at constant speed. The object does not interact with anything else. So what is that? Physics, chemistry, biology? Which one is that? Physics. Yeah. How things work, the physical world. Not inside them, in the chemistry of them. Generally speaking. Okay, so what's the best example of the first law of motion? I mean, it's weird to think of no air, but that's a theoretical way of thinking about motion. There was no air because air causes friction and resistance. So they take that out of it and then see, oh, it could go forever, which is cool. That an object will just keep moving forever after a little gentle push if there's no resistance.
Sort of like space in a sense, you know?
Yeah, it sounds like space. Like if you get ejected out of like a space station or something, and you get cut off, you're out there doing some work and your tether breaks or whatnot. Like, where do you go? You know, do you just keep traveling forever? So creepy. Anyway. Which one? A ball lying on level tables given a gentle push, it won't roll too far. That seems a little not strong enough, right? Perfectly round ball and an endless table won't move if left alone, but can roll if pushed forever. I mean, roll forever if pushed. That sounds like they got most of it, right? And then Galileo first came to a conclusion. That's not really that important to the idea of the first law of motion. Like who, it's nice to know who discovered it or figured it out, but so the best answer is what? B all around. Good. Okay, we'll do one more and then we'll take a break. So you write down the key term, its definition, selecting an example. This is sort of like note taking, same, all the same skills of seeing like the main points and then the little points and then kind of just being able to determine which one is which. Passive listening occurs when a listener tries to make sense out of a speaker's remarks without being able to interact with the speaker. Probably the most familiar example of passive listening would be students hearing an instructor's lecture without having the opportunity to ask questions, otherwise interact with the speaker. Passive listening also takes place in interpersonal settings. What's inter mean? That's a good prefix. What does it mean?
Again,
It does have an in part, but it actually means between. Inter means between things. So you have like an inter, isn't there sports stuff like that, guys or girls? Like inter-college sports, and then you have intra, which is in the college itself, intramurals. That's a little different. Yeah. Passive listening also takes in interpersonal settings, as when one person dominates a conversation while the others fall into the role of audience members, or when some parents lecture their children without allowing them to respond. Or they speak about, this is my own personal thing, little bugaboo. I don't like it when parents talk about their children in the third person or anybody. I find it quite rude. So if someone says like, she's really not doing very well in school, we don't know what we're going to do with her, you know, and the kid's standing right there. I think that's rude. I think you should say like, you know, at least their name, right? And then say, or, you know, we're dealing with things at school, aren't we, honey? Or, you know, so that it's not like, I just did that to Aaron. I just talked about him in the third person. I said, he hasn't opened his campus yet. That's rude. Anyway. Passive listening, so you have one person dominating. So what is the definition we're going to write in the study notes? Someone just read that out. Aaron, what's the main idea of this thing? What are we trying to define?
Listening.
Yeah, and it's what kind of listening is specifically?
Personal. Audience.
Well, we see that they've been putting the main idea or the depth of the word that we're trying to think in bold. That helps us. So what do we see there that they did that for us? Because they're going to give a couple examples, but what's the main thing that they're trying to talk about? This one's organized like a lot of paragraphs. You got the main idea right at the front. So it comes first. What are they doing first in this paragraph? What are they talking about?
Passive.
Yeah, passive listening. It's being very
Listening.
passive. You're just sitting there, you don't do anything, very passive. What would be the opposite of passive listening? Active listening, they sometimes talk about that too, like you're very active and you're looking at them, you're expressing interest, you're asking questions. Okay, good, thanks, Aaron. So we have passive listening occurs when a listener tries to make sense out of a speaker's remark without being able to interact with the speaker. So you would just write that in the study notes. And what example would you choose from that, Aaron? What's the example that interests you? Is it the instructor or the parent? Or the audience? Yeah. Which one should we use? Well, they have instructors lecture or interpersonal settings. Which one do you want to use, Aaron? Okay. So we just write in there passive listening in interpersonal settings, like parents lecturing children without them being able to respond. You don't want to, you don't have to write down all the words when you're taking notes. Good. All right, we got time for one more, then we'll take a break. Wants to read? Kiana? Yeah,
Okay. Problem on the- Here's the example. Or trying hard enough when we watch a job, the problem with unclear directions are not in. Lashes out angrily, when we lash out angrily, people especially been under.
that's cool. That seems very true. Self-serving bias, they should have that on the Harvard bias tests that we did. You should write them and say, because they have the bias against, you know, old people. Do they have old people on there? I think they must. I gotta take the old people one. Old people, what else did old people? Wait, yep. People think their weight's too, yeah, weight. Gender, girls, boys, yeah. Queer. What else?
Brown.
Brown,
Rate,
what?
the rate?
Yeah, race.
Race. They should do self-serving bias. Okay, this is interesting. They give a lot of examples. So if you were trying to remember this for like a test or a paper that you wanted to write, you would write the definition down, which is the main idea in this paragraph. So we could say social science, self-serving bias, we would start with that. The self-serving bias is tending to judge ourselves in the most generous terms possible. It doesn't talk about how we judge other people not as generous, but that's a good start there, yeah. Self-serving bias is the tendency, or when we tend to judge ourselves in the most generous terms possible. It's very much about human nature, you know, because we kind of put ourselves first a lot. And then which example would you take, Kat, as just a way for you when you're taking notes to remember this idea the best, or something you wanted to think about more?
So like, like when she gets off dating.
Yeah, that is so classic, right? We always think the person's messing up, and we just have like many reasons why we did the deed. She gets caught speeding. Should have been more careful. We get caught speeding. Everybody does it. Cool. All right. So we'll take a break. I'll see you at 10 after 11.
Some of it's funny. Chimpanzee buzzing him was a tag your sister. Much for the story of the night.
Another short story. That's a novel. That's not a short, it's a novel.
No,
That's one story.
one story. Hold on. Right where you started school at Reardon. Like stove. You can say whatever. Like stove. You got. So he punched one in the eye and they didn't do nothing back and he's like.
It's weird, the combination of like trying to ignore that because he's Indian, but also being afraid because he's Indian. Being
So
black
he's
too,
saying
like
so.
young black and everything else.
Nerdy Indian. I always will be. He saw it so hard. Your best friend Rowdy.
Oh my God. His best friend and then the new guy. And you got the new guy, like. Her name's. Yeah, Rowdy, this kid.
Rowdy will get revenge.
He has like a brain thing
Yeah.
too, he's good. He's a good- And you wonder how long it might have. Everybody, most writers talk the same way.
I have wet brain where I go, he's well, my brain is thinking all through the day.
My friend just read was on.
Definitely approved for him to go. Get out of the reservation.
Yeah. That's things pretty open. All right, so we get back to our 10 steps. So our task for the rest of class is to read this and then do the answers. And then I want you guys to write a paragraph about something you like with a lot of details. Choose something you really like and just write all the reasons you like it. And then write a summary sentence that has some a summary sentence that has what you like and give one example, sort of boil down an example or boil down the general aspects. Like I did this morning, vegetarian food. I like that vegetarian food because it has vegetables have so much variety. They are easy on the digestion and they are easy on the earth compared to growing beef or other animals. But whatever you do, yeah, you can boil it down to a simple, either one example, or you can mention a couple briefly. And then if you get past that, I want you to write 2 bad summaries. And then we'll give them to each other and you can have your classmates choose. I'll put them on the screen and we'll have your classmates choose what's the best summary for your paragraph. Okay, we'll see how much time we have for that. So now we're going to do this pretty kind of, it's a little bit advanced reading, but hang in there, depending on your reading skills. But first, title. I can't say it enough. I hope when you're reading, you'll hear my voice saying that because it sets you up for what's to follow in a really easy way. And it's usually a summary itself or a definition of the topic. What's the topic of this reading that we're going to do next? It's called Child Rearing Styles. We're on page 125. And here's some words to watch. If you don't know those words, you can whip up there and check those. If you find something, don't know the word, it might be on that list. What's the title? Child rearing styles. So that just sets us up for what's to follow. Child rearing is the same thing as child raising. And let's read the first paragraph together, and then I put you on your own. So automatically, whenever I start reading nonfiction, I want to figure out when they're going to tell me the main idea, because then I can sort everything else out. It's like saying, here's a giant cabinet. Okay, this is like a lot of paragraphs. There's a lot of stuff in that cabinet. first I want to know right off, is it a lady's dresser drawer? Is it her dresser? Is it a workshop cabinet with tons of tools in it? You know, is it our lawn cabinet where we have all of our different things to work on lawn, the pesticides, God forbid, or the, you know, the fertilizers and the hose, you know, so what kind of cabinet am I looking at right now? We're looking at a big cabinet about child rearing, but I want to know what their main take on it is. What about it? So I'm always asking myself right away, what's the main idea? What is this about? I don't read passively, I read very actively. So what makes Mary burst into tears of frustration when she can't find a jigsaw puzzle? I'm pretty sure this whole thing is not going to be about a kid looking for a jigsaw puzzle. So I'm thinking that's the details, not the main idea. Well, Gary will shrug and walk away from it. And Carrie will sit with it for hours until he finishes it. 3 examples of kids with a puzzle. That's not what this is going to be about, talking about all the kids and their puzzles. What makes Polly independent and Molly a clinger? So this is getting a little more deeper level. What makes Tim ready to hit out at the slightest provocation? Annoyance. We know what that means to be provoked. And Jim loathes to fight, reluctant to fight. One answer lies in the basic temperament children are born with. That seems like they're getting to the main idea now. A second very important influence on behavioral styles is early emotional environment, how children are treated by their parents. I don't think we've gotten to the main idea yet. Read a little bit more. The psychologist Diana Baumrind set out to discover relationships between different styles of child rearing and the social competence of children. That's it. That's the main idea. So it's kind of hard, but she's relationship between how children are raised and how they end up being socially competent. Not like competent in school, competent socially, how they are social beings, how they deal with each other in social situations. School is a social situation, actually. We don't always think of it that way, but it is. So is work, often, it can be very social. Anyway, that's the main idea. So I'm going to let you guys go with that. And you can see, Erin, that the important words are in this case, they're not bold, but they're italicized, like authority. See that there? That gives you a clue that that's an important word. All right, I'll let you go on that for a half an hour. Or if you're done sooner, let me know. So I don't know what's going to happen to it. Is there anybody in? I don't think. Oh, hi. Let me know when you want me to move the screen down in page, because I know you guys are looking at the screen, okay?
We have a copy of the document.
Okay, cool.
We don't need you to move it for us.
Excellent. So read this whole essay, Child Rearing Styles, and then go down and do these. Don't worry about these A's. That just was a glitch. Do all these questions down here, okay? And we're not doing the discussion questions. You want to write these answers out on a separate sheet of paper. Some people have downloaded this document. I think it does fillable, but. Okay, so I'll see you in a half an hour. Or earlier if you're done. You can start working on your own paragraph. Okay?
Marianne, your last two chats summarizing what you wanted to do only went to me and not the whole class.
Oh, thanks. I thought the person in the waiting room could chat, not the other way around.
Yeah, I know.
Us that can chat to her.
I've sent a message. They're in class now.
Do,
Actually, it looks like they're gone. Yeah.
okay.
Miss, you,
Yeah.
do we read 126 too?
Yeah, yeah, read the whole story till it's done. Under the picture. Yeah, good question, thank you. Too bad Kenyana's not here, because he wants to work with him.
Does he have? Got development. It's so much different now than when I myself.
Mhm.
Yeah, like totally responsive and receptive to everything going on, you know?
And they know
When I
that.
was a kid, I was like,
It's really not the one. Oh, my God. I'm playing in the kitchen.
I was hanging with my crew.
They get a lot of attention from parents.
Really?
Like you. Hey there, like that. A baby.
So what do you want us to do after reading that paragraph?
Do all these questions. So that's all on 127. Halfway through 128, and then write a paragraph on something you really like, so. A lot of detail. And then.
Should, because
Here, we did it last week. You can go on to write your own paragraph. And space out.
What do we write about?
You write about something that you really like. And add a lot of detail, be it cars. Some activity,
Right.
what something, or, reading, what books you like, something you really like, put a lot of detail, and then we'll practice the art of summarizing. Pose,
Type?
fashion,
You need to type about something.
right? I did this last. Sign it. You like grammars.
I like words. I like words, I just words that rhyme, I like. Go deep. That was cool, but it's like, it goes deeper than that. Content has to be, make sense and be really driven.
This example.
Yeah, that just sound good, yeah. A little bit deeper than Ice Cube.
Yes.
Yeah.
I am so not well versed in that one. Oh, yeah, I remember now. Thank you. That was the first question, thank you. Okay,
Oh, you have
got the vocabulary and context or down
the.
main ideas? Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I said like the first one. I answered my first one. I can.
Can you look at those again? Yeah, for underneath. Vocabulary and context. There's two on vocabulary, two on main ideas. Bunch on the supporting details. Check this first two again.
First.
Yeah. Okay.
Back in the sky. Sample writing already did. Writing regulations.
It Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, like all the way back in time. Happen. No, if you're in the right file.
It skipped to a whole different story and then it went back to a blank page. So.
You try both files though, and I don't know. Control Z. think complete something? It's a-
Huh?
See professionals play complete buttons, batons,
Pattern.
patterns. Summary sentence.
I don't know if it's right, but I guess I put music, no matter the genre, can be enjoyed by anybody.
Music, no, matter the genre.
Yeah.
Can be enjoyed by what?
By anybody in a.
Okay. I'm hoping you guys are finishing these up. We're just gonna look at one right now. Welcome to stay a few minutes late in class. Finish it up. You guys ready to focus on this? Or you want to just keep working? Let's look at this one. Do. Got 2 rappers in this room, maybe more. One thing I'm very passionate about is music. I love all types of music, from heavy metal all the way down to hip hop. That kind of. But what makes me musically driven is that I also make music. Ever since I was a kid, I was fascinated with the drums, the way they looked, how awesome it would be to see, awesome it was to see professionals play complete patterns. Is that right?
Complex.
Complex. That makes more sense. And Phil's drove me to pursue playing the drums. I'm going to put a comma here. Eventually, I found I had a talent for putting together loops for many hip hop songs. So obviously, I took up rapping as well. To me, to this day, both rock and hip hop drive me every single day. Main idea. Music, no matter the genre, can be enjoyed by anybody and everybody. Is that what that paragraph's about? That's too big. We gotta bring it. But he says the main idea is enjoyed by everybody and anybody. Did anything come up about other people? That paragraph? It's all about him. Which is what I asked you to do. So I don't like that main idea too good. It's like another thought. It's not in the paragraph. So maybe something like. Passionate about music because. It fascinates me and I love putting music together, something like that. See what I'm talking about? It's too, your main idea isn't represented by the things. Fix that, all right? Anyone else have theirs ready to do? Not, we'll look at it. Next class, you can stay and work a little. Oh, here's one. We'll do this and then we gotta go. Oh, no. Here, I'll put it on here. So we're gonna fix this main idea. I personally like books. Not all books. Let's put a comma here. But some fiction books, comic books, or anything that makes your mind wonder more. Nice. I like books like The Hunger Games. Is that a name? Yes, it is. It's a proper name. Hunger Games. Got to put that like it's a name of a person. Divergent. This has got a lot of good details in it. Or The Wizard of Oz. I like to think books are a way of making a nice little movie in your mind. Very cool. Some people don't really like books or reading in general, but most do. I hope so. I think reading is a way to test your imagination and helps your mind flow with thought. Beautiful. And sometimes it's fun to escape your personal world and read about others. That would be nice if they existed. So I personally like reading. I think it's fun and a great way to help your brain grow. So I could either put this or put it is fun. And this is your brain growth. Awesome. Now, how do we make his main idea out of that? Summary. Not a summary. It's got so much in there. We will say, I like books. I mean, we can't do it all, right? What do you think, Raven? How about we put something like they stimulate the imagination, like that? I shouldn't be doing this for you. And I'll let you finish that sentence. You can't include all your details in the summary. So sometimes, as we saw before, you just choose like the main one or one of them as an example. So finish that and email and send that right now if you can. And that will be just about it, you guys. Thank you for your hard work and concentration. We won't do that essay again. Authoritative. Authoritarian, those words are too close. You should have chosen them. And permissive, it's like the ones where the kids are like really out to lunch.
Promiscuous?
Permissive.
Permissive. Got selective hearing.
Sounds great. Permissive, those kids are out at lunch. Like, what are we doing? Anyway, good job, guys. Get that main idea, Ray, and finish that and bring in that next class. This is a great paragraph. Good paragraphs.
Can I email you mine later?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, please. Two good, very good paragraphs. I'm expecting some more. Awesome. Erin's gonna write about riding horses. Yes. Horses. Okay, that's it for today. I'm gonna turn off the Zoom.
Good day.
Thanks. Yeah, see you next class. Danielle, what are you gonna write about? What is it about? Oh, Raven, thanks.
Problem is, like, can't control something and my whole thing disappeared. Yeah, yeah, right.
Yeah.
I like it. We did get. So, middle, but it's about the. I wonder if we just.
Bye, ladies.
Yeah.
Bye. He's obviously a great writer.
Yeah.
Great, great writer for sure. Do you watch his movie?
Oh,
You're not boundless. Yeah. Just on, I think I have misery. Yeah, I'm not sure of that. Yeah, a lightweight.
all right, see you tomorrow.
Okay, thanks for reading that. Danielle, what are you gonna write about? Well, we'll find out next class. Take care, everybody. Auto mechanic. Okay, cool. See you then.